Listen, I am about to say something I probably should not say out loud, but somebody has to be the one to tell the truth today. And since you clicked on this video, that somebody is going to be me, and that somebody who hears it is going to be you. Blueface just did something so spiritually reckless, so publicly stupid, so cosmically suicidal, that I genuinely believe we are watching a man walk himself into a punishment that no lawyer, no publicist, no mama, no manager, no lawyer's lawyer, and no last-minute apology tour can ever pull him back out of. Jonathan Porter has officially crossed a line that even the streets do not cross. He didn't just disrespect a woman. He didn't just cheat on a pregnant woman. He didn't just parade another woman around while the mother of his unborn child sat at home in ceremonial white. No, he touched something sacred. He filmed something sacred. He mocked something sacred on a live stream in front of thousands of viewers, and the spiritual bill for that is being drawn up as we speak. So pull up a chair, because we're diving deep, and I promise you by the end of this breakdown, you're going to see this story the way Spirit sees it. Not the way TMZ sees it. Not the way the clip channels see it. Not the way Blueface Chat sees it. Not the way the podcast circuit is about to slice it up for content. You are going to see the invisible engine underneath all of this noise. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you see it, every future stream this man does is going to look completely different to you. Every laugh in his chat is going to sound different. Every clip that trends is going to hit you differently. Because you will know what he is really doing. You will know who he is really provoking. And you will know exactly why what happens next is not going to be an accident, is not going to be bad luck, and is not going to be a random turn of events. It is going to be a receipt. Welcome back to the channel, and if this is your first time landing here, hi, I am your girl, and around here we talk about the things people whisper about at the kitchen table when the elders think the kids stepped outside. We talk about spirit. We talk about karma. We talk about the invisible receipts that get handed out when the visible ones get ignored. We talk about death. We talk about the ancestors. We talk about the true stories the news won't touch. And we talk about the exact moment a man learns that the universe does not care how many followers he has on his best day. So if you are new around here, tap that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get every drop the second I post it. And if you are a returning family member, I love you. I see you, I appreciate you, and I need you to buckle in. Because today's story is one for the record books. This one is going in the archive. This one your kids are going to hear about one day. This one they're going to teach in the spiritual houses. This one is not a moment. It is a warning shot, and the ancestors are the ones firing it. Now let me get something out of the way before the comments try to twist my words, because I already see the comments loading up in my head. I am not standing in Blueface corner. I am not standing in Nevaeh's corner. I am not standing in Chrisean Rock's corner either. I do not have a fandom hat on. I do not have a team jersey. I do not have a favorite. I am not here to defend any of these people from themselves, from each other, or from the choices they keep making in public every single week. But I do know what a reckoning looks like when it walks into the room, and baby, a reckoning has officially walked in and taken off its coat. It sat down at the kitchen table. It poured itself something to drink. It is not in a rush. It has all the time in the world. I grew up in a house where you could feel a whooping coming before it ever arrived. You would hear a drawer close a certain way. You would hear house slippers hit the hallway floor. You would hear your government name, first, middle, and last, echo through the vents, and your whole nervous system would go stiff because you knew. You just knew. There were signs. There was always signs. And what Blueface is walking into right now has more warning signs than a hurricane forecast, more red flags than a UN summit, and more spiritual sirens than a Sunday morning revival in the deep south. Every single sign is on. Every single alarm is going off. And this man is standing in front of the mirror rehearsing his next punchline. Here is the situation, and I am going to lay it out clean so nobody has to guess. Blueface, real name Jonathan Porter, formerly a rapper you may remember from those viral moments a few years back, currently a full-time live streamer over on Kick, has been building an entire content empire off the back of his pregnant girlfriend, Nevaeh. And Nevaeh is not just any months pregnant. Nevaeh is close to 9 months pregnant. Not 5 months. Not 6 months. 9 months. She could go into labor between the time I finish this sentence and the time you finish this video. She could be in a delivery room right now while you are watching this. She could be timing contractions in a bathroom while her boyfriend is on stream taking questions from the chat. And while she is carrying his child in that condition, Blueface decided the appropriate use of his weekend was to disappear for a 3-day bender with Chrisean Rock, who, by the way, appeared on those streams so visibly wrecked that half the internet spent the next 48 hours wondering what exactly she had taken to end up looking like that. Wasn't Chrisean supposed to be sober? Wasn't Chrisean supposed to have found her way back to church? Wasn't there a whole reintroduction tour where she told us the old her was gone and the new her was walking with Jesus? Wasn't there a podcast circuit where she promised she was done with all of that? I am not judging. I am just remembering. Because if I remember correctly, so does the audience, and so does the algorithm, and so, apparently, does Spirit. Blueface leaves his very pregnant partner at home to live stream with Chrisean Rock for 3 days straight. 3 days. Not 3 hours. Not one long night. 3 whole days of another woman on his screen, in his content, in his mentions, in his room, in his time, in his focus, while the mother of his unborn baby watched from the same house he was supposed to be inside of. And when Blueface finally rolled back through the front door, he walked into a scene that I do not think he was ready for spiritually, emotionally, or ancestrally. Nevaeh was dressed in ceremonial white from head to toe. She had her elekes on. And the moment I saw those beads on that live stream, my whole living room went silent because I recognized them instantly, and I understood immediately that this man had no idea what house he had just walked back into. That was not a girlfriend waiting to argue. That was not a girlfriend waiting to cry. That was not a girlfriend waiting to slam a door. That was a whole priestess in ceremonial dress standing in a doorway. And he walked right past her, camera on, chat rolling, like he had done nothing. Like it was a Tuesday. Like the woman in front of him was a prop and not a portal. That is when I knew the timeline was already writing itself. Before we go 1 inch further into this, let me pause here for one quick thing, because I know some of you have been sitting on those psychic source credits for a minute, and I refuse to let you leave them on the table. If you have never grabbed a reading before, use the link pinned down in the description to get up to 40 minutes for $19.80. And if you already paid for one and never followed up on it, please, please, please go redeem it, because those credits do expire. They track everything on their end, and I would hate for anybody in this family to lose out on a message Spirit is trying to hand you. This is not a promotion you can rerun on a second account either. They see all of that. So get your reading, get your clarity, then come right back to me, because now we are getting into the part that has the whole internet on fire, and I need your full attention. I need you focused. I need you present. This next section is the meat of it. Nevaeh, as many of you have now figured out on your own, is an initiated practitioner. She is a daughter of Oshun. She has been walking this path for a full decade, 10 years. She said it out of her own mouth on that same stream. She has an aisle, a spiritual house, down in Atlanta, which is where her ceremonies were done and where her godparents live. Her elekes, those gorgeous yellow and gold beads that were around her neck, are not costume jewelry. They are not fashion pieces. They are not vibes. They are not aesthetic. They are consecrated. They carry the spirit of the deity she serves. They are a public marker that says, I belong to Oshun and Oshun belongs to me. And in the tradition Nevaeh is walking, those beads are not casual. They are not decorative. They are not fashion. They are a treaty between a woman down here and a mother in the spirit realm. And that mother in the spirit realm does not play about her daughters. She does not play about them. Not in this life. Not in the next one. Not on Tuesday. Not on Sunday. Not ever. Here is where the internet has been getting this whole thing wrong all week. So let me clean it up right now while I have you. What Nevaeh practices is not voodoo. Voodoo is its own full, complete, sacred religion, with its own history, its own ancestors, its own lineages, and its own gods. And it also is not the horror movie thing your favorite podcast bro thinks it is. Voodoo deserves its own conversation on another day, and I will give it one, because those practitioners are tired of being misrepresented too. But what Nevaeh is walking with, based on everything she has said and everything her altar shows us, is much closer to Ifa and Lakumi. The Yoruba spiritual system that traveled across the Atlantic Ocean on slave ships, refused to die under the whip, hid itself inside statues of Catholic saints during colonization, and has been quietly raising and defending black women across the entire diaspora for more than 5,000 years. That system is older than Christianity. It is older than Islam. It is older than the country Blueface pays taxes in. It is older than the concept of a live stream. It is older than the concept of celebrity. It is older than most of the languages you speak. And it is not scared of a live stream. It has survived far, far worse than a kick chat window. It has survived worse than a comment section. It has survived worse than a viral clip. It has survived being outlawed, being burned, being buried, being hidden inside dance and drum and food. A live stream cannot end what a plantation could not end. Now let me tell you about Oshun, because most people online have been describing her like she is a Pinterest board or a Sephora fragrance. They say she is honey. They say she is gold. They say she is romance and sensual energy and pretty rivers and yellow dresses. All of that is true. All of that is her. But the people saying only that never sat with the elders long enough to hear the rest of the story. Oshun is also grief. Oshun is also betrayal. Oshun is also rage. Oshun is also the woman who was passed over, mocked, disrespected, and deliberately left out of the councils of the other Orishas until she showed them, one by one, exactly what she was capable of when her patience finally ran all the way out. She has lived every heartbreak a woman can live, and then some. She has been abandoned by men who did not deserve to be in her presence. She has been mocked by men who did not have the vocabulary to understand her. She has been humiliated by men who mistook her softness for weakness, and every single one of those men learned their lesson in a way they never recovered from. Every time, every single time, and every time, she came back and reminded the world that her sweetness and her ferocity live in the same body, at the same time, in the same river. You do not disrespect Oshun's daughter and walk away from it. You do not put Oshun's altar on a live stream for comedy. You do not stand over Oshun's child in ceremonial prayer and laugh into a camera. That is not a joke that ends the way Blueface thinks it ends. That is not a bit that runs out on his terms. That is not a chapter he gets to close. Somebody else is holding the pen now. And Blueface is not just testing her patience. He is standing on the porch begging for lightning. He is running his mouth on somebody's rooftop during a thunderstorm, holding a metal rod in one hand and a microphone in the other. He is playing patty cake with a fire he cannot see the size of. He mocks her practice in front of thousands. He calls her rituals voodoo like it is a slur. He tells his chat she is doing witchcraft on him because she cooks him soup. Soup, y'all. The man is out here scared of chicken noodle soup. Scared of soup, he said, and I am not paraphrasing. Try a chicken voodoo soup. That is the level of ignorance we are working with on a public broadcast, in front of a chat that is laughing along with him, in front of thousands of viewers who are clipping it, saving it, sending it around. And meanwhile, the woman he is mocking has been quietly building a spiritual life around him that he does not even have the vocabulary to describe. That kind of imbalance does not sit still forever. Spirit sees it. Spirit clocks it. Spirit files it away in a folder labeled with his government name. And Spirit charges interest. And the longer you leave the bill unpaid, the fatter the interest gets. That is how Spirit accounting works. You do not get to negotiate at the last minute. You do not get to plead poverty. You do not get to say you did not know. The receipt has your name on it in ink that does not fade. Then he did the thing that took me from concerned to actually offended on Nevaeh's behalf. And I want you to sit with the full weight of this next part, because I want to make sure you understand how heavy this is. Blueface opened up the closet where Nevaeh keeps her altar, panned the camera slowly across her sacred space, showed her deities, showed her offerings, showed her candles, showed her tools, showed her private communion with something bigger than herself, live, on a public stream, to strangers. He did not ask. He did not warn. He did not respect. He did not even hesitate. He turned her holy corner into content. And you can hear it in her voice on the clip, the little hitch, the little embarrassed laugh she does not want to do. The way she tries to gather herself while the man she is carrying a child for is turning the most sacred square footage in her whole life into a punchline for his chat. That laugh she does is not the laugh of a girlfriend caught doing something silly. That is the laugh of a woman trying to hold her dignity together in real time while her partner strips it off her, piece by piece, on camera, in front of an audience that is not on her side. I have watched that clip 4 times now, and every single time, I catch a new detail that breaks me a little bit more. The way her shoulders drop. The way her voice goes soft. The way she says, "You want to join?" like she is offering him one last off-ramp before Spirit takes the wheel. Let me explain to the folks in the comments who do not walk this path what an altar actually is, because I need you to understand exactly why this is not a small thing, why this is not just being nosy, why this is not just being rude. An altar is not decoration. An altar is not aesthetic. An altar is not a shelf. An altar is a doorway. It is a physical place where a practitioner shows up, day after day after day, to build a relationship with something bigger than themselves. It holds the deity's tools. It holds the offerings. It holds the prayers you cannot say out loud in front of your family. It holds the tears you cannot cry in front of your job. It holds the requests you are too proud to send in a group text. It is the one square of the world where you can be completely honest, completely vulnerable, completely known, completely raw. To show that on a live stream, for laughs, for engagement, for a kick clip, is not just disrespectful to Nevaeh personally. It is disrespectful to every ancestor who kept this tradition alive by hiding it inside statues of Catholic saints, inside slave quarters, inside the folds of head wraps and the false bottoms of trunks, so that today, a woman in Los Angeles could quietly build one in a closet without being killed for it. He did not just violate his girlfriend's privacy. He violated a 5,000-year-old lineage. And that receipt is not one he gets to pay in installments. That receipt comes due in full. In cash, up front, on camera, just the way he served it. You want to know what really made me set my drink down, though? What really made me hit pause and sit up straight in my chair. It was Blueface's mother, Karlissa, who logged on to weigh in, not to protect the mother of her unborn grandchild, not to gently pull her son to the side, not to say, "Baby, that is not how we treat any woman in our house, and it is definitely not how we treat one carrying our seed." No, Karlissa hopped on and said what welcomes what, and demons are demons and altars are altars, and she used every ounce of her platform to align herself with the mockery instead of with the mother of the baby. And I want to say this respectfully, because I try to be respectful when I can, but chilly please. What are we raising? What are we raising in these households? Because a grown man who has already fathered a child with one woman and mocked her publicly, and is now doing the exact same routine with a second pregnant woman, and whose mother backs the mockery every single time it happens, that is not one bad man. That is a lineage. That is a pattern being handed down generation to generation like heirloom silverware. And lineages can be interrupted. Spirit interrupts lineages. Spirit interrupts them hard. Spirit interrupts them publicly. Spirit interrupts them in ways the person on the receiving end never sees coming. And when spirit interrupts a lineage, it does not just visit the one person who caused the problem. It goes to the root. It follows the branches. It cleans the whole tree. Karlissa, you may want to sit down for the rest of this year. Just a suggestion. From a stranger, who happens to know a little something about how these things unfold. Now let me switch lanes for a full second and talk to my sisters, because there is a specific lesson buried inside this story, and I do not want anybody in this family to miss it. Spiritual women, I am talking to you directly, so put your phone down and listen. If you are initiated, if you are consecrated, if you are walking a path that took you years to build and elders to guide you into, please, 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 stop lowering the door of your temple for men who do not even know they are standing in one. A man who does not fear the invisible is a man who cannot be corrected by the invisible. A man who has never sat down in front of the ancestors is a man who does not know how loud those ancestors can get. When you bring a partner into your spiritual life who cannot even pronounce the names of the ones who protect you, you are not protecting him. You are exposing him. You are opening him up to a correction he does not have the equipment to survive. And when the correction comes, and the correction always comes, you are the one who has to watch it happen up close. Nevaeh does not need Blueface to be relevant. Nevaeh has her own following. Nevaeh has her own personality. Nevaeh has her own voice. Nevaeh has her own path. Nevaeh has, more importantly than any of that, a mother in the spirit realm who is already watching the door and taking notes and drawing up plans and calling in favors from her sister Orishas. That is the part Blueface has not clocked yet. Oshun does not fight alone. She has family. She has a whole pantheon on her group chat. And when one of her daughters gets treated like that, they all pull up. And that, right there, is why I keep saying what I keep saying. Blueface has a better chance of getting spiritually corrected than he does of getting physically corrected by Nevaeh herself, because Nevaeh is soft-hearted, and Nevaeh loves this man in a way that is honestly hurting me to watch. She does not want to fight him. She does not want to leave him. She wants him to become the version of himself she keeps praying about at that altar. That is a daughter of Oshun through and through, patient, luminous, hopeful, forgiving to a fault, sweet even when she is bleeding. But Oshun's daughters have a mother, and that mother is not patient. Oshun's daughters have ancestors, and those ancestors are not forgiving. Oshun's daughters have an entire cosmology backing them, and that cosmology is not on Blueface's timeline. He can log off. He cannot log out. He can close the stream. He cannot close the eye that is on him. He can walk out of the house. He cannot walk out of the covenant she signed 10 years ago in Atlanta. He can block a name. He cannot block a spirit. He can mute a chat. He cannot mute the whisper in his own ear at 4 in the morning when the room is dark and everything he did that day catches up to him at once. Let me pull one more thread, because I want to be fair, and I do not want anybody thinking I am being one-sided. Some of you are watching this and thinking, well, if Nevaeh is so spiritually protected, why is she in this situation in the first place? Why is she with a man like that? Why is she letting this happen? And that is a real question, and I want to answer it with love. Nevaeh admitted on stream that she fell off from her practice for a while. Life happened. A relationship happened. Content happened. Money happened. Attention happened. And when practitioners step away from the mat, the door does not close all the way, but the signal gets fuzzy. The connection gets soft. She said it herself, out of her own mouth. She has been reconnecting, rebuilding her altar, putting her elekes back on her neck, praying every day. That is a woman finding her way home. That is not a woman who is lost. That is a woman who wandered and is walking back through the front gate. And if I know anything about Oshun, I know that Oshun does not turn her daughters away when they come back. She receives them. She sweetens the honey again. She reminds them who they are and who they belong to. And then she goes to work on the situation that pulled them off the path in the first place. That situation, in this case, has a name, and that name is Jonathan Porter. That name is about to become a case study. And can we talk for a second about Chrisean Rock? Because I feel like we cannot properly close this story out without addressing her role in it, and I know some of you have been waiting for me to get to her. Chrisean is not innocent in this. Chrisean sat on that stream, tore down, in the same room as a woman she knew was pregnant with the same man's baby, and she participated. She laughed. She egged it on. She let her presence be used as a weapon against another woman's peace. She had jokes about the altar too. She had commentary about the voodoo. That is a spiritual choice, and it comes with its own bill. And her bill is going to look very different from Blueface's bill, but it is still a bill. What I see on Chrisean is not just addiction. That is spirit of addiction, capital S. That is a whole entity walking with her, feeding on her, using her platform as a plate, using her spotlight as a serving tray. And every time she chooses the party over the process, that thing gets fatter, louder, bolder, more comfortable in the seat it has taken in her body. You do not fix that with detox alone. You have to close the door it walked through. You have to identify the room in your life where that thing lives rent-free, and you have to evict it. And until Chrisean does that work, she is going to keep landing in rooms she has no business being in, doing things she is going to regret in the morning, waking up next to versions of herself she does not recognize, promising to change, and then folding by Friday. Meanwhile, Blueface is standing in the middle of all of this, mocking Nevaeh's practice, streaming her altar, running around with Chrisean, disrespecting the mother of his second child, while his first child's mother watches from the sidelines shaking her head and telling his chat, over and over, that he does not believe in any of it. Sir, respectfully, the thing does not require your belief to work. That is what makes it powerful. Gravity does not need you to co-sign it before it pulls you to the floor. Fire does not consult you before it burns your hand. The ocean does not check your reading list before it drowns a swimmer who overestimated himself. Spirit does not need your permission to correct your behavior. Your disbelief is not a shield. Your disbelief is a delivery address. It is literally the map to your front door. And you have been sending out the coordinates every single night on your stream, for free, in high definition, with subtitles, in multiple languages, with a smile. I want to be honest with you all, I am not enjoying this. I know these breakdowns can sound like I am dancing on somebody's grave, and that is genuinely not what I am here to do. I am here because I have watched too many black women in my own family, in my own community, in my own spiritual house, hand their power to men who did not even understand they were holding it in the first place. I have watched too many pregnant women be humiliated on public platforms while the internet turned it into a meme. I have watched too many initiated sisters get called witches by the very men benefiting from their protection, the very men eating the food they cooked, sleeping in the beds they blessed, walking around under a coverage they never asked for and never earned. This is not new. This is old. Older than YouTube. Older than Kick. Older than Blueface Mama. Older than this country. Older than the language we are having this conversation in. And that is exactly why the correction that is coming for him is not going to be new either. It is going to be ancient. It is going to be recognizable. And the elders are going to look at it and nod and say, yeah, that is exactly how that story ends. That is exactly how it always ends. We have seen this one before, in the old country, in the Middle Passage, in the sharecropper houses, in every generation. This is the ending. Oshun writes. Now if you have made it this far into the video, I want you to do something for me, because the algorithm is a real thing, and this message needs to keep traveling and reach the people who need to hear it. Drop a comment down below and tell me, do you think Nevaeh should walk away from Blueface right now, tonight, before she even has this baby? Do you think Blueface is going to wake up on his own before Spirit wakes him up the hard way? Do you think Chrisean Rock still has a real chance to close the doors she has been leaving wide open, or is that ship already in the wind? Do you think Karlissa is part of the problem or part of the pattern? Do you think Jaden Alexis, his first child's mother, is sitting somewhere feeling vindicated right now, or hurting for another woman going through what she went through? I want to hear from you, because part of the reason I do this channel is so we can process these stories together as a community, not just as viewers. If you are a practitioner yourself, please share your take respectfully. I love learning from the family. I love hearing from other houses. I love watching us build knowledge in the comment section. If you are new to any of this and you have never heard of Oshun before today, please ask your questions in good faith, and we will meet you exactly where you are. There are no dumb questions in here. There are only closed doors and open ones, and I am asking you to open one today. And to Nevaeh directly, if by some strange twist of the algorithm this video finds its way to your For You page, sis. Baby, listen to me for a second. You are covered. You are loved. You are seen. Your beads are working. Your altar is working. Your prayers are working. The reason things feel so loud right now is not because your spirit is absent. It is because your spirit is loud. Oshun is not asleep on you. Oshun is not disappointed in you. Oshun is not turning her face from you. She is negotiating on your behalf in a room you cannot see, and negotiations get noisy. Contracts get shredded loudly. Doors get slammed. Furniture gets moved. Do not confuse the sound of your protection kicking in with the sound of your world falling apart. Sometimes those are the same sound, wearing different clothes, standing in the same doorway. Trust the beads. Trust the water. Trust the honey. Trust the mother. Trust the 10 years you spent building this relationship. Trust the ancestors that showed up for you long before Jonathan Porter did, and will still be there long after he is gone. And when it is time to walk out of this situation, you will not have to be pushed. The door will already be open. You will just walk through it, and never look back, and never regret it. And your baby will be raised in a house that smells like peace instead of performance, like prayer instead of stream lights, like honey instead of smoke, like your grandmother's kitchen instead of a rented studio. And to Blueface, Jonathan, I am not going to pretend I have any warm feelings toward you right now, because I do not. But I will say this, because it is the truth, and truth is free, and I try to tell it every single time I open my mouth on this channel. There is still time. There is always still time, right up until there is not. You can put down the phone. You can log off the stream. You can walk into that closet, not with a camera on your shoulder, but with a soft voice and a soft heart. And you can ask that woman to teach you what she has been trying to teach you the whole entire time you have known her. You can bend a knee. You can lower a shoulder. You can stop performing manhood and start practicing it. You are about to become a father, again, and the child you are about to meet is going to grow up watching how you treat her mother. That is the real audience. Not the chat. Not the clip channels. Not the comment section. Not the podcast circuit. Not Aiden Ross. Not Kaisenet. Your baby. And your baby is going to remember every single thing. Every one of us remembers what our fathers did to our mothers. Every single one. Ask any grown person on this earth what their daddy did to their mama, and watch their whole face change. Watch their voice drop. Watch their eyes get heavy. That is the audience you are performing for, not the one in the chat. And that audience does not forget. So here is where I leave you today, family. Blueface is not just picking a fight with a girlfriend. Blueface is not just picking a fight with a religion. Blueface is picking a fight with the invisible, and the invisible has an undefeated record. Nevaeh does not have to lift a finger. Chrisean Rock does not have to lift a finger. Karlissa does not have to lift a finger. His baby mama Jaden does not have to lift a finger. None of them have to do a single thing. The correction is already being drawn up in a place none of them can see, by a mother none of them can bribe, on a timeline none of them control, using tools none of them can name. And when it lands, and it is going to land, it is going to look like everything and nothing at the same time. A deal collapsing. A stream crashing. A friendship turning cold overnight. A body reminding him it is not invincible. A door closing that used to be open. A phone that stops ringing. A comment section that used to defend him now piling on. A moment of silence at 3 in the morning in an empty house when he finally realizes what he did, and to whom, and to what, and there is no chat there to laugh with him. Just the ceiling. Just the mirror. Just the ancestors he pretended did not exist. You want to test the fire? You meet the burn. You want to stand on the porch during the storm? You meet the lightning. You want to broadcast the sacred? You meet the source. You want to laugh at Oshun's daughter? You meet Oshun. That is not a threat. That is a weather report. That is the news, delivered a little earlier than usual. Let me hit you with one more thing before I sign off, because I know somebody watching this needs to hear it, and probably has not heard it anywhere else this week. Your spiritual practice is not a costume. Your spiritual practice is not aesthetic. Your spiritual practice is not vibes. Your spiritual practice is the reason you are still here, the reason your bills still get paid, the reason your body still wakes up in the morning, the reason your enemies still miss when they aim, the reason the accident did not happen, the reason the diagnosis came back clean, the reason the door opened when it should have stayed closed. Do not let anybody, not a boyfriend, not a girlfriend, not a spouse, not a family member, not a viewer, not a hater, not a chat, not a whole platform, turn that practice into a punchline. And if somebody in your life is doing exactly that right now, watch how quickly spirit removes them once you stop making excuses for them. Watch how fast the doors close. Watch how loud the correction gets. Watch how sweet the peace tastes on the other side. Watch how your whole life reorganizes itself around your prayers the moment you stop apologizing for having them. If this video hit you today, tap the like button so more of the family can find it out there in the algorithm, so more sisters who are living this exact story can see it before they have to keep living it. Comment your thoughts. Respectfully, please. I read every single one. Share it with somebody who needs to see it. especially the sisters who are dating men who make jokes about their beliefs. If you have a topic you want me to break down next, drop it below or tag me on TikTok or send me an email. Everything is linked in the description. And if you are new around here, welcome home. Subscribe, hit the bell, and I promise you the next story I bring you is going to be just as wild, just as spiritual, and just as necessary as this one. This channel does not slow down. This channel does not run out of stories. Because as long as people keep testing the invisible, Spirit is going to keep filing reports, and I am going to keep reading them out loud, in this seat, on this camera, for as long as y'all keep pulling up. Until next time, family, protect your peace, protect your altar, protect your beads, protect your practice, and never, ever, ever let anybody in your life make a joke out of the thing that has been keeping you alive. Not for a laugh, not for a check, not for a stream, not for a boyfriend, not for anything. I love you. I appreciate you. I will see you in the very next one. And Jonathan, since I know somebody in your camp is going to send this video to you at some point this week, good luck. You are going to need it. Not from me, from her. And when she gets there, remember that I told you first, on the record, on camera, on a Tuesday.